Greetings, greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house. We are live. Welcome, welcome to Ujamma Day, Sista Shanice Show, live on this platform. I am absolutely delighted, absolutely honored to be here again before you, my wonderful, wonderful audience, to be able to do a live show. If you've seen the publicity and the promotion, you know that our special guest for today is none other than our very own Ldr Mbandaka. And he's backstage. He's going to be coming forward in a very short while. So how are you, family? How have you been this strong? Some say weak, I say strong, because words are so, so important. As you come through the door, please let me know that you're in the house. You know, drop me a greeting from wherever you are in the world, and actually just tell me where in the world that you're watching us from as well. There's so much going on today here in the UK. We've got a big reparations meeting happening. We are reviewing the reparations marches that we've been having for the last 11 years, year on year. We have been marching here in the UK for our reparations. Yes, indeed. And, you know, there's a big meeting on today because we're going to be reviewing reparations. We want to know, you know, how we can do things better. And then, you know, later on this month as well, there's going to be a big UK reparations meeting. The All-Parliamentary Committee, the Governance All-Parliamentary Committee are going to be talking about reparations. And we've got to make sure that they don't hijack the agenda. We've got to make sure that what our demands are in terms of reparations is what is on the agenda and is what is being discussed. And the only way that that can happen, irrespective of what we think of these politics and politicians, is if we are at the table. So yeah, we're going to be at the table as well. And maybe we'll do a show where we give a bit of a report back and feedback about that particular meeting as well. Because when we talk about reparations, you know, we need to be repaired. We need our land back. We need a repatriation package. We need our own educational programs so that we can undo the trauma that we've been suffering as a people. You know, the list goes on. And of course, you know, we need to restore our African countries. We need to restore our Caribbean countries as well. And we, those of us in the diaspora as well, need to be restored as well. And so we've got extensive list of demands in terms of reparations. And, you know, we don't want no piecemeal here, take this little something under the table and go on with it. No, we're not dealing with the crumbs. You know, our people have suffered, our ancestors suffered for hundreds of years. And in parts of the world today, our people continue to suffer. And all of this needs to be addressed in terms of reparations. So those are some important meetings that are going to be happening. Also, family, very, very importantly, as you can see, I've got a new flyer up. Yes, indeed. I've got a couple of events, family, that I am putting on for African History Month. For those of you in the UK, you will know that the month of October is African History Month. And because it's African History Month, there's loads of events that's happening up and down the country. But a lot of these events have been put on by the local authorities. They've been put on by the Arts Council. They've been put on by the school colleges and universities. And they're not really dealing with African history. You know, they're just putting on some wishy-washy programs that really they ought not to be getting the finance to do at all. And this is what they do. You know, we campaign to something like this and then they hijack it. They take it over, you know, and then they give us, you know, what they call African History Month, which is an insult. So we've got to put our own programs on. I want to rise up all of the African organizations that are putting on African History Month programs. I'm putting on 2 seminars as well. And you can join me at those seminars because those seminars are going to be online events. You just get a pen and I'll give you the address, okay? So that you can get your ticket. So for the 2 seminars, it's a total of £10. One is going to be on Saturday, the 26th of October. And we're going to be discussing the Black Jamaican Irish erased from history. Yes, family, I actually wrote a paper on the Black Irish that have been erased from history, and that paper was submitted to academia.com, caused a lot of controversy. Academics all around the world have been writing about it, reviewing it, critiquing it, etc. Yeah, because I did the research and discovered that there was an Asian Irish population of Africans, and they have been erased from history, and we actually go back tens of thousands of years. And so, you know, I want to bring to life the history of those ancestors that's been covered up until now. And I want our people to know who the true indigenous ancestors of Britain really are, what they look like, where they come from, what religions they practice, what their culture was, etc., etc. There is so much of our history here in Britain that has been untold. And so we're going to be exploring that rich history on the seminars that I've organized. So one's on the 26th, the other one is on the 27th. The one the following day on the 27th of October, that's Sunday the 27th of October, we're going to be homing in on the Haitian kings of Britain. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us know about the last Black King of Scotland, but how many of you have asked yourself, what if there was the last Black King of Scotland? Who was the first Black King of Scotland? And who were the Black Kings in between? And were there other kings of Britain? Did Ireland have any Black Kings? Did Britain have any Black Kings? And if so, who were there? What are their names? Would you like to uncover some hidden history about the legacy that we've got here of Black monarchs and Black aristocracies, Black nobles? Fascinating truths, fascinating history that have been hidden from us, family. So I'm going to be bringing some of these stories to life. And I mean, the history is vast. It really is. And so it's so vast. I won't be able to cover everything, but, you know, I think from you get a taste and you're going to want more. And so I'll probably be putting on more of these unique presentations. I'll be calling on our great friend, Dr. Clyde Winters as well, Brother Marmar from the Marmar University. I want to rise him up. He said, hey, we need to do a seminar on the African sciences of present day. I'm like, yes, and I've started writing about the African sciences of ancient times as well. So we can do a seminar on the ancient and present African sciences, and because it's phenomenal. And I know you're going to be requesting that we bring to life more stories through these seminars. And so you know, we have influenced the world over. We've influenced the world in terms of the civilizations that we established, you know, because obviously we had the great kingdoms, great cities, great universities, great empires. We've had it all, family. And we must never forget all of that. When they tell the story about us today, it has to be within the context of our greatness and then obviously what we suffered as a people. We need to learn our history and know our history, the highs and the lows, so that, you know, the mistakes that we made in the past, we don't make those mistakes again in the future. So join me on those seminars. I will get the link and I will post the link in the chat for you, family. And as you come through the door, yeah, please let me know that you are in the house. I'm going to be going backstage in a little while to bring in our special guest for today, none other than Ldr Mbandaka. Yes, so get ready, get ready, get ready. And let me find the link for you so that, you know, you can grab a copy of it and make sure that you join us on that Black History Month, those Black History Month seminar events that I've put on for you, family. I've put these events on for you. So, you know, grab your ticket and make sure that you're in the house. It's going to be phenomenal. And because it is going to be a Zoom meeting, well, what that means is you have the opportunity to join me live. Okay, so it'll be good to be able to put some faces to the names and to be able to see you. Okay, so you'll be able to join me with your join me wherever you are. So make sure that you're ready to come live, okay? Okay, let me get this opened up. Let me get my live opened up so that I can drop you the link in the chat. And let me also then go backstage to see, to bring our guest on, Ldr Mbandaka, who I know is really excited to come to you today to have the conversations that we're going to be having about matters that are of concern to us. So if you're joining us for the first time today, welcome on board. Hopefully the internet is okay and you're seeing me. I'm watching myself back and it looks as though I'm spinning a little bit, but I hope it's not getting in the way of your enjoyment today. So we've got some serious matters to discuss, family. There's so much that's happening to us as a people around the world. And a lot of it is happening because we don't know ourselves as a people. We don't know who we really are. We really don't know our greatness. And, you know, we're going to have to get to know, first and foremost, that we are one. We are one people. Let's bring in Ldr Mbandaka and welcome him as he comes. Welcome him in the chat. I'm going to go to the chat in a little while, okay, family? So make sure you copy that link there. Here we have Ldr Mbandaka in the house. Greetings, Ldr Mbandaka. How are you?
Tendai Mwari, I am richly blessed, my dear sister, and I'm giving thanks and praises. Thank you so much for inviting me on to the show to minister to our blessed and beloved people. And as always, I bring greetings in the most precious, powerful, and bountiful name of our motherland, Al-Kebula and Mama Africa, in the sacred spirits of our most gracious ancestors, and in a prayer for oneness, hope, and prosperity for all African people upon the face of Mother Earth. Rumbidzo kunamwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. It is a joy to be an African, and a joy and a blessing to be on Sista Shanice's show, bringing knowledge and inspiration to the people. Rumbidzo kunamwari Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. And we say, Kudzai mudzimu mukuru, give praises unto our ancestors, our great ancestors. Ashe, ashe, ashe,
Asheo, Asheo. We are always so honored and so privileged to have you to minister to us on this platform, Leader, because anytime you come, we know that we are going to be well fed. We know that we're going to come away fat with knowledge and great ideas about what we need to do as a people going forward. You help to shape our minds, and as our late great leader John Henry Clark, reminds us, it's so important that we have the minds of our people, because if others are able to control the minds of our people, then they control the actions of our people. And today we're going to be talking about the actions of some of our people, and it's obvious that they are not in their right mind, but they don't know that they're not in their right mind. So I'm really hoping that the message today will reach those people of our family who are not in their right minds. And so your works that you do, Leader, in terms of deep brainwashing, in terms of opening up our eyes and our mind, to love Africa, to embrace Africa, to be proud of being Africa and everything African, to celebrate our culture, to celebrate who we are as a people, to celebrate our ancestors, to revere our ancestors. All of what you preach, all of what you stand for, is taking our steps further towards where we need to go to become who we really are as a people. So we're always so grateful to you. We're so grateful to your wife. We're so grateful to your family, to releasing you. And even when you're under the weather, you still come out and deliver. And we're so, so grateful to you, leader. You know, but when the body said to you, you must rest, you know, you have to listen to the body, you know.
I know. I certainly have been getting that counsel from my dear beloved wife. And however, we give thanks and praises for life, and we give thanks and praises for health and strength. And we also give thanks and praises for the challenges in life, because they test our mettle and sometimes find us wanting. And in the finding us wanting, we learn things about ourselves. If we are in our right minds and our right spirits, we realize that we have to self-evaluate and we have to make adjustments in order to make ourselves worthy of being whom we were created to be. And so I'm just happy. I feel happy and I feel blessed that once again, I am asked to be on the show of an African queen who I have the utmost respect and love for, because of the respect and love that you give our people every single day of your life, Sister Shanice. And as always, I want to honor your king, who is by your side, enabling you to do the work, because in supporting you, he is giving to us as well. But I also know that Brother Errol does his work in the background. So I'm honoring him for the work that he does and for the inspiration that he gives in his own right. So give thanks and praises. I'm just glad to be here, my dear sister. Tendai Mwari.
Give thanks. Tendai Mwari. Give thanks indeed. And yes, we hail up Errol in the background as always, you know, supporting the works. Thank you so, so much. So I'm going to be getting the link and posting the link in the background. And while I'm doing that, I wonder if you could introduce yourself to our audience. Maybe just remind the audience of some of the great works and videos that you have on this platform that the family really must go back and review, because you know, every time I go back to some of those videos, I learn so much over and over again. Please, please share with us about who you are and some of the works that you've been doing. Tendai Mwari.
Oh, Tendai Mwari, Rumbidzo Kuna Mwari, Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Kudzai Mudzimo Mokuru, give praises unto our great ancestors, because without them, we would not be here, beloved brothers and sisters. My name is Brother Ldr Mbandaka. I am blessed to be the spiritual leader of the Alkebulan Revivalist movement. We are a liberation movement that is based upon an African-centered spiritual cultural philosophy called Alkebulan Livity. Alkebulan Livity meaning living according to the divine teachings and traditions of our mother culture. We also adhere, in the context of our philosophy, Alkebulan Livity, we adhere to the philosophy of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the eminent prophet and king, Papa Omowale Malcolm X. The philosophy of nationalist Pan-Africanism that they have demonstrated and defined for us operationally, not just ideologically, but operationally. They have given us a black print for organizing, for self-empowerment and self-liberation. And we need to understand that that black print is there for us, beloved brothers and sisters. All we need to do is pick it up and put it into practice, implement it. In terms of the presentations I've done for Sister Shanice show, I'm not quite sure if I'm able to give you a checklist of them. I do know I've done a broad topic, which I had titled Martyred Prophets, celebrated puppets,
Yeah.
the deadly politics of Mama Africa, I think is the title. And I know I have submitted a number of segments of that series of messages that I have delivered. I know I did one on Ghana, one on Nigeria, one on the Congo. I know I spoke about Thomas Sankara. So I can't remember if it was Thomas Sankara in the context of
Lumumba as well.
A broader topic. Yeah, Patrice Lumumba in the context of the Congo. And the series wasn't quite finished. The next one I was going to go on to was Francophone, so-called Francophone Africa. But
I'll come back to you for that one. Yes, yes.
But yeah, those are the ones I can remember from the top of my head. So you might.
And these are really important presentations, family. You know, the presentations are very well researched history. If they've got names, it's factual. You know, we can use these presentations to inform us about, you know, the background and the backdrop to each of these countries that our leader has looked at from an African-centered perspective. You know, you can't go out in the university or colleges and get the sort of teachings that we've been getting here from Ldr Mbandaka, and we can't continue to get all of our news from the mainstream. You know, we have to be able to go somewhere where we can get the critiques about why we're in the situation that we're in some of these countries. What has gone wrong? What's happened over time? Who were the key players? Who were the traitors? Who were the treasonous ones? Who were the real Pan-Africanists? Who were the leaders? You know, we as a people need to be informed. And those presentations, you know, you inform us so well about the history of those individual countries that you've critiqued and analysed for us from a Pan-Africanist perspective. We thank you. So please, family, make use of those videos. We don't know how long, you know, we're going to have access to this information for. They've already taken down African Stream. African Stream, you probably know Ldr Mbandaka was one of the Pan-African platforms that was keeping us as a people informed about what was happening in the individual African countries. It was the voice of Africans. And Wazungu never liked the fact that we were, you know, speaking to each other and closed down their platform. Their YouTube channel, then they closed down their TikTok, they closed down their Instagram and their Facebook, just wiped out that voice that was speaking to over 1 million Africans around the world on a daily basis. So we see what their agenda is. They don't like us having these conversations because they're important conversations that we need to be having. And so go to the platform, download those videos, make sure you've got them in your library so that you can refer to them in years to come, you know, years to come. Yes, Ldr Mbandaka, invaluable works. Invaluable
works. And I'm glad you've mentioned Africa Stream and the predicament that they are now in. And it's so important, Sister Shanice, that we understand the implications of the Secretary of State, a very high-profile executive of the American government, who is speaking pronouncing a public condemnation on an African media outlet. And then within 24 hours, the platforms have cut all of his work. Years of excellent, powerful work, beloved brothers and sisters. But understand that not only is this propaganda warfare, it's deadly propaganda warfare when the Secretary of State is going to call out in name a viable African media outlet. We know how these people operate, and we have to be concerned about the safety of those who are fronting the Africa Stream, especially our brother Ahmed, who was on Kimbunga Media, which is the media that is run by Brother Shakara, my son. And I was very, very concerned about our dear brother Ahmed when I saw him on the program where he was talking about the Sudan, incidentally. And I looked at him, and you could see the stress on our dear brother. He was standing firm. He was bold. He was out there. He was doing the work. But those of us who are emotionally intelligent enough will know that that's a brother who is under a lot of stress, and he has good reason to be. And what worries me in circumstances like these is that we do not have the machinery in place to withstand the pressure that is being unleashed on our brother, to protect our brother from the pressure that's being unleashed upon him, and to go up against the American government. You know, we don't have the machinery in place because we are not in the nation building task that we should be engaged in. So, you know, at this stage of our development on Liberation Road as a people. And it's something that we have to look at very, very seriously. We can't just wait for situations like these for us to scream and shout, you know, in anger. But we don't have the substance to really back up that anger. We don't have the substance to really channel our energies where it can do some harm to the sources that are attacking us, because we're just not as organized. We're not united, and we're not organized in the way that Papa Garvey has instructed us to. So that's something that we need to think about, and we need to think about our capacity to protect those among us who constantly come under attack. As it says in the redemption song, how long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Papa Garvey says we must never let any propaganda against the race go unanswered. Any negative propaganda against the race go unanswered. How do we get behind Africa Stream? How do we substantively support and protect our brother? How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? And kill might just be it might just be a mental assassination or a verbal assassination. It doesn't have to be physical. But once that attack starts, beloved brothers and sisters, you know this is a murder machine. You know this is a terrible murder machine that has been in operation for centuries. Right? And we know what they can do. We have to be able to defend and to protect those who stick their necks out for our liberation. Tendai Mari.
Tendai Mari, for real. You know, we're just like sitting ducks because, you know, they're all so well organized. They have their machinery, they have their intelligence agencies, they have their armies, they have everything out there, you know, just ready to pick us all off. And like you say, all we do is talk and scream and shout. But, you know, they are terrified even, you know, for us to be talking, because that's all that Africa Stream was doing. They were just, you know, having conversations and talking and bigging up leaders who are making, you know, profound statements and speeches, and they were so worried about it that even, as you say, they're such a high official in the American government, you know, points
it
them
goes
out.
To show how powerful,
yeah, exactly.
How powerful we are as a people, and how much they fear us, because even in our state of disunity and disorganization,
Imagine.
just for the power of the word, just for us to exercise the capacity to use the word, that worries them, that throws them into a tailspin. So what does that tell us about our power potential as a people? They seem to know something about us that we don't quite yet realize and understand. That we are a powerful people. But for us to be able to exercise the power that we have, our collective power potential, we have to be united and we have to be organized. And that's where we fall down. We have to have our resources in one place, whereby we can organize those resources to meet our needs in every aspect of life. That's what we need to be doing. And it's not as hard as it may seem. What it takes is the power of the will. We have to will it and then do it.
Absolutely.
We have to will it and then make it happen. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, absolutely agree. And, you know, it starts with us, you know, as the individual being disciplined, taking the time to educate ourselves about our ancestors, about our greatness, our former greatness, and making sure that also at a family level, all our family members are well informed, well educated about who we are as Africans, our identity, our greatness, our former great cities and kingdoms, the industries that we had, when we ruled the world, who we were, what we were doing, where we went wrong, what our downfalls are, the mighty armies that we had. You know, the mighty armies that we, you know, as a people had. And if we had it, then obviously, you know, we can have all that again as well. And where we have been successful in taking back control, now we need to operate as though we've got a central control base and unit. And so imagine, you know, if we said to these people who are terrorizing us in some parts of the world, if you don't get your armies and your people out of that land, if you don't stop the militia groups from attacking our people in those villages, in those lands, we are going to stop you accessing the raw materials and the minerals that you so depend on. Just imagine, you know, when we start impacting their interests and their businesses, what that will do. So I'm just going to bring in some of the comments. Let's welcome the audience, and then we're going to go, you know, into the real meat of the conversation today. So everything okay your end, beloved?
Tendai Mwari, yes, my dear sister.
Oh, good. Okay, that's all good. From you, all good, we're good. So I want to rise up family members in their house. We've got Kwame Aboje in the house. He's saying, Ashe, these demons, yes, should go to hell. Exactly, go back to where them come from. Hell them come from indeed, because they're giving us hell on earth. Sister Ujamma says, yes, my brother Kwame Aboje. She says, free Africa stream. We will be free one day. We are fully awake now. Keep those demons away. Trust. Yes, and all, you know, it's a good thing. This is the time of awakening, and many of our people are definitely waking up. But we still have too many of our people who are asleep. Too many sheeples who are batting on the wrong side of the fence, who are, you know, supporting the wrong side and not realize what's going on. So Brother Kwame, they were saying, yes, Brother Leader, we are a powerful people. Rise up, Mahogany X in the house saying, that's right, we are powerful when we come together. Yes, we are. We must remember that. We have to come together at a local level, at a family level, at a regional level, at a national level, at an international level. We have to come together in everything that we do. Absolutely critical. Our unity is power. You know, for as long as we allow trivialities to divide us, for as long as we are separated, for as long as we are divided as a people based on a religion or tribe or nationality or you know, any of the other isms or schisms that we allow to divide us. For as long as we are divided as a people, then we are easily conquered. And that's the problem that we've been facing throughout our history. We've allowed our differences to come in the way. And what we don't realize that it might be A today, B tomorrow, and we the day after. So bien, we have to support A to make A strong, you know, because from them beat A, then they're going to more easily beat B, and then we're going to come and see we, you know. So we really have to wake up as to, you know, what we need to do as a people. Rise up, we've got Mandela in the house. Hey, Lubu Kiambote, Yenge Kiambote, beloved. Brother Mandela, who's in the house. We've got Abini in the house as well. Abini Maroon is saying, how is everybody today? Oh, we hope we are all well. She's saying peace, blessings, and love, one and all. Rise up, Abini. Great to have you in the house. Put your messages in the chat. Let us know where in the world you are watching us from. We want to, you know we've got a global audience here. Kwame saying, yeah, Africa streams should be reinstated. The rest should get lost. You know what? We've got to have our own platforms. And we know even when some of our people have tried their own platforms, these people have sabotaged, you know, our platforms. They are just, you know, they don't want to give us not even a little space, but we just have to try nevertheless and can keep trying to create those spaces and those opportunities when we can speak to each other. And as Lida was saying, we're just talking at the moment and they're trembling. Imagine, Rise Up Peru, who's in the house. Great to have you in the house, Betsy. Great to have you in the house, Sister Ujamma. Great to have you in the house as well. To all the brothers and sisters, remember to give us a thumbs up and a like as well as you come through the door. You know, it's always a privilege, always an honor to be here with you. Yes, Yenge Impimpa is evening now. Yenge Impimpa Kiambote, my beloved brothers and sisters, and we rise up the Congo leopard in the house. Yes, I've dropped a link in the chat. It's an Eventbrite link. It's where you can go to join me for the African History Month seminars that I'm going to be having towards the end of the month. And I want to rise up Brother Mama. He's bought 4 tickets and he's looking to give those 4 tickets away to 4 young people. Okay, so if you've got a young person who you think can benefit from having knowledge of their history, I mean, I think all young people should have knowledge of their history, but if you've got anyone in particular, let me know and I'll forward that on to our brother Mama. So I want to rise up Brother Mama for his support. Rise up Sheriffess in the house. She's beating up Jamaica and the whole of the Caribbean. I tell you, Ldr Mbandaka, yeah, oh, Jamaica going on towards Haiti. You know, you know, the Haitians are fleeing the trauma and the terror that they're experiencing, you know, on their land. Some of them reached Jamaica. And last year, within 24 hours of 34 or so Haitians reaching Jamaica, they send them right back, you know, into the hell situation that they were coming from. And even recently, right now, they're still talking about returning Haitians without even treating them as refugees and assessing their situation and dealing with them in a humanitarian way. What is wrong with our people, Brother Leader? What is wrong, you know, with that Prime Minister of Jamaica, yeah, who should be seeing the Haitians as their brothers, who helped to liberate Jamaica, you know, and who are now also being persecuted by the Dominican Republic, you know, who are they are, what do they call it now? They are kicking 10,000 Haitians per strong per week out of the Dominican Republic, and they've started this strong, and they've already returned 11,000 Haitians. We're getting news and messages from Haitians who are locked up in their house, frightened to come out their house, who've got no food left, no water in their house. They've been murdering Haitians on the street. And with all of this going on, you would expect, would you not? I mean, first of all, with all of this going on, Brother Leader, what would you expect of the Prime Minister of Jamaica? Because maybe he don't know how he should be responding to a situation like this. Please enlighten him, and I hope your message reaches his ears.
Well, I don't know if I have the capacity to inspire the likes of Andrew Holness. I don't think he is mind of our, he may be flesh of our flesh, but I don't think he is mind of our mind or soul of our soul, my dear sister. I don't think he has the capacity to be inspired by a message of self-love and self-respect, self-dignity, self-determination. Papa Garvey says if Black people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves. I don't think that our brother Andrew Holness knows his glorious past, our glorious past. I want to suggest in that context that if we even knew our inglorious past, we would be more inclined to respect ourselves, because we would know and understand the nature of the beast that is our enemy, that has been oppressing us for centuries. And we would know the works of the beast against our people. We would know the inglorious suffering of the Haitian people in slavery and the tremendous revolutionary war that the Haitians waged against their oppressors. We would know that the person who poured libation and evoked the spirit of Ogun is one who came from Jamaica, Bookman Doty. Bookman Doty was taken from Jamaica. He was dismissed from Jamaica because of his revolutionary nature. And he was brought to Haiti. And he was a person who evoked, who led the Ogun ceremony with Mama Cecile Fatima. We would know that. We would know that the Haitian revolution helped to inspire the revolts that happened in the Caribbean that pushed the British towards the abolition of slavery. We would know that. So it's an utter disgrace. But of course, when we talk about the Jamaican government, we're not talking about a representative body for us as African people. We're talking about the government, the managing committee, if you like, of a neo-colonial construct. They are not nation builders. They're stool pigeon puppets who are running a corporation on behalf of their masters. That's what they have reduced our nations to, corporations, to be exploited by the same historical forces that have enslaved us and colonized us and want to maintain us in this yoke of oppression and exploitation and degradation. So I have no other expectation from Andrew Holness. What Andrew Holness does, the disgraceful things that he does in the name of government, is what I expect him to do. My message is to our people. And my question is, when are we going to render these people redundant? When are we going to unite and organize in the way that Papa Garvey has instructed us to? When are we going to pool our resources and organize ourselves? When, as a nation of people, when are we going to build that provisional government, constitute that provisional government as the UNIA ACL did, a provisional government, and start acting like taking responsibility for ourselves, acting, brothers and sisters, in our own interest, our own collective interest? When are we going to start doing that? That is my question to us. But as for Andrew Holness, I have no instructions for him. I have no advice for him, except to step down and to neutralize the political system, get rid of the political system in Jamaica. And I would say to us as a people that should be our objective. the political system that we have in our countries, whether in the Caribbean or in Africa, are not designed to promote our interest.
That's right.
They're designed to preserve the interest of the historical oppressors of our people, the historical exploiters of our people, the historical degraders of our people. Tendai
Mwari. And so, you know, in all of that, you know, what you said, have to agree with you, you know, yeah, the sad reality is that, you know, wholeness is just maintaining the status quo for our exploitation. And so therefore, it falls on the people to act. Now, we had a situation here in the UK during the Ukraine war where the government were encouraging families to open up their doors and let people from Ukraine come and live with them, come and stay with them, look after them because they were fleeing war. I mean, I would want to therefore then appeal to the Jamaican people who have got homes, who have got places and spaces, that when these people from Haiti come into the country, look after them how you would want to be looked after. You know, take care of them how you would want to be taken care of if you was to find yourself destitute in another man's land. You know, buy them food, give them water, find shelter for them somewhere then, if you can't bring them in your home because you don't have any space. But let's show some brotherly love and some sisterly love towards the Haitians. Yeah, what these people through their media have been doing, yeah, for decades or even for centuries, is they've been demonizing the Haitians. Yeah, they've been making the Haitians out to be, you know, evildoers and wicked people, but they're not. They are brave freedom fighters. They still, you know, have that fighting edge, despite all of what they've been going through for the last 200 years or more, since they dared to free themselves. You know, they are still, you know, fighting strong as a people. And those oppressors of ours, they don't want us mixing with the Haitians because they fear their fighting spirit might rip up on us. Just like back in the days, it was the Jamaicans who had that fighting spirit. And like you said, they feared Bookman Dutty so much, then send him from Jamaica, go to Haiti. But what did he do in Haiti? Yeah, he started the revolution there. And what was the impact of that revolution? It was like a deck of cards falling. All of the colonial colonies, all of those colonies that the colonialists owned, you know, they all got up and started fighting and freed themselves as well. And that is the power of the Haitian people and what they've done. And so these people fear the Haitians, but we need to embrace the Haitians. There's a petition out there as well calling on the Dominican Republic government to stop murdering the Haitians. I'm going to find it and post it in the link. And there's also a brother who's asking us if you can buy some rice, if you can do some shopping and put it in your trolley and send it to him, pay for it and send it to him. He will distribute some of the food to some of the Haitians. He's one of the few people who's risking day after day coming out of the house to go and support Haitians. They've got thousands of Haitians locked up in their prisons in Dominican Republic. It's a wicked, wicked thing that's going on out there right now. And to think it was the Haitians that actually freed the whole of that land, including the Democratic Republic. But they've got this colorism thing going on, where the lightists feel that they're more white than black, and so they're siding with the imperialists and oppressing the Africans, the indigenous Africans. And when we go on, we're going to go on to Sudan now in just a moment, and we're going to find that isn't it just a similar situation there, where we as the darker hue Africans around the world are being oppressed everywhere that we are, even on our own land? If we don't get these people off of our land, if we don't take our land back, then the future generations are going to have an even more difficult job to do. Let me just hear you comment first before we go into the discussion on the situation, please, regarding Dominican Republic and the colorism and how they view, you know, their own brothers, their fathers, you know, the Africans. Are you able to comment on that for us, please?
Yeah, Tendai Mwari, this is a historical system. Now, I know we don't use the term white supremacy on Sister Shanice's show, and I do understand.
Thank you so much.
I do understand why, but I do want to say, in terms of the white man's mentality, he has a system in the world that the likes of Mama Frances Cress Welsing and Neely Fuller call white supremacy, global white supremacy. And it is a presumption, though it is a myth. It is a presumption that white people plus white culture is superior to Black people and Black culture. And the system, that global system, is in place to ensure that that outcome is made manifest through all areas of people activity. The system is designed so to do. And so wherever we go in the world and find a racial dynamic, we will find in the present dispensation that we are in, of time that we are in, we are going to find African people at the bottom of the socioeconomic strata and white people at the top. The global political and economic and social system and order is designed to produce that dynamic. And we still perpetuate what we within the Al-Qaeda revivalist movement call the plantation complex, wherein the mentality that was cultivated on the plantation of supremacy or superiority and inferiority are still to a large extent with us. This is why Andrew Holness behaves in the way that he behaves, because he is a gatekeeper, you know, for the enslaver. He still has that slavery mentality. And so it is with the Dominican Republic Haiti situation. You find that it is a nation that is dominated and controlled by Europeans who are rejecting the citizenship or the presence of African people and doing it in the most undignifying manner. This is a reality throughout the world. You know, Mama Arikana Chiamborikwao, former ambassador to the African Union, she was based in the USA, and she was the ambassador to the African Union. And even as a dignitary, an international dignitary traveling the world, she had stories to tell about her experiences or witnessing the amazing disrespect that are shown to Africans around the world. Even today, we have to put this right. And the only way to put that right, allow me to just use as an analogy, a woman in an abusive relationship, where that man controls her mentally, physically, spiritually, in every conceivable way. For that woman to end her suffering, she has to change her perception of herself. And then she has to change the relationship she has with that man. She has to empower herself to change the nature of the relationship she has with that man, because he will never change. See, no matter how she begs him, he will never change, because he does what he does because it suits him. He's exploiting her for his purpose, and he's quite satisfied with the relationship and the dynamics of that relationship. It suits him. If she wants to end her suffering, first she has to change her perception of herself. Then she has to, because it's her perception of herself that allows him to abuse her and oppress her in the way that he does. She has to avail herself for that level of abuse. So then she has to empower herself and change the nature of the relationship she has with that man. She is the one who has to change. We as Africans have to examine our perception of ourselves and change that perception. Because it's something about how we perceive ourselves that makes us allow the oppressor to continue to oppress us. We avail ourselves for the oppression. So we have to change our self-perception. We have to empower ourselves and change the nature of our relationship to Europeans. That's what we have to do. Otherwise, the dynamics will never change. The European does not have it in their nature to change. So if we are fed up, if we are exasperated, if we've had enough, then we have to change. And one of the things that we must change is our inability to unite and organize, because that has something to do with our self-perception. That has something to do with our concept of self-empowerment. I cannot be empowered to the fullness of my capacity unless I am working in unison with my people, my brothers, my sisters, my family, my community, my nation, because that's where my strength lies. Iron sharpeneth iron. So we have got to work together. And it's in working together. It's like a team sport. We have to work with each other. We have to fight with each other. We have to strategize with each other. Think our way out of this situation. Work our way out of this situation. Fight our way out of this situation. But more importantly, we have to have a vision of excellence for ourselves. We have to build something for ourselves, not just how do we react to the enemy. But what is our vision of excellence for ourselves? Do we have a vision of greatness for ourselves as African people? Because without that vision, nothing will happen. And then behind the vision, like Papa Garvey did, there must be a plan. Like the Osage for Kwame Nkrumah, there must be a plan. Behind the vision, there must be a plan. Just like we're sitting here on Sista Shanice's show. Sista Shanice had a vision, and then she had a plan, and she executed that plan, and here we are. If it was just the vision alone, no plan, no execution, we would not be here. But behind the vision, there was a plan, and the execution, the plan came off the paper. It was not enough to have the ideas in your head and put the plan down on paper. You had to now enact the plan. And here we are, several years on. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. So, you know, family, the importance for us to have our individual plans, and as well, very importantly, our collective plan. What are we planning to do to help to uplift our community? What are we planning to do to help to support, you know, our nation, our people, wherever we are in the world? And then once we've got that vision, you know, as you were saying, we then have to put a plan in place and execute that plan. Only we can do for we, as we say on the Big G Galaxy, Afri. I've just posted the link in the chat to the petition for Dominica against the Dominican Republic government that is murdering innocent Haitians and deporting them by their thousands on a weekly basis. And I've also posted the link where you can go and do some shopping for Haitian families. If you'd like to buy a bag of rice or anything at all, you can do a big shopping trolley, $70 worth of food. You can do half a shopping trolley, $35, or you can just buy a bag of rice. You know, it will all help. So please do, you know, have enough love in your heart to want to support a brother or sister, you know, by just doing a little bit of shopping for them. So, thank you, Brother Kwame Aboje. Says next week I can donate £10 for the people in Haiti, Sister Shanice. Thank you so much, Brother Kwame Aboje. You know, when we made the appeal for our beautiful sister Gwendolyn in Jamaica, That's the lady who whose nephew murdered her daughter and her 3 grandchildren, and then, you know, and in the most horrific way imaginable. I mean, he stabbed them over 100 times, cut their throat, all kind of something. He was possessed, you know, by some demon to do what he did. And then the poor woman, last year, she lost her brother. And then a couple of months ago, her husband died, you know, and we made an appeal. And I want to thank Brother Kwame Oboje, who sent £10 for the lady. I'm not aware of anyone else who sent anything. And, you know, we've got to learn to give as a people. We must give more. You know, her GoFundMe only now still only has 100 and something pounds in there, you know, and there was 2 brothers through Galaxy who did donate, and I want to thank those brothers, Brother Mama and Brother Richard. But, you know, we've got to give family, we've got to learn to support, you know, each other wherever we are in the world. We can't look to those who don't look like us, don't like us, to be helping us in our time of need. You know, we have to give the support that we would want to get if we was in that situation. So rise up, Brother Kwame Oboje, always, you know, they're willing to help and support. Rise up, Lunkawa in the house as well. So, Brother Ldr Mbandaka, the situation in Sudan, you know, it's so painful. I passed a video on to you quite recently, and it was that video that just triggered me into saying, we've got to have a conversation as a people, because there are people who look like us, who have been so indoctrinated by the Arab religion to the point where they see their brothers as enemies. They see their brothers as abids, as slaves, as less than, and they're doing the bidding of the Arab, and in so doing, you know, they're slaughtering their people in their tens of thousands, and they're displacing our people. Over 1 million people have been displaced. They're running the people off of the land and not realizing that they're just expanding the African territories for the Arabs. They think that the Arabs have our interests at heart. Please send a message to some of our brothers who I think are not in their right mind. But, you know, what do you think? Maybe you want to tell people about the video that I sent. Over to you, Brother Ldr Mbandaka, to address this very troubling situation in Sudan.
Tenai
Mwari.
Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Kuzai Muzima Mukuro, give praises unto our great ancestors. And before going any further, I just want to evoke the spirits of Muzima Mukuro, our great ancestors, to intervene in this moment and to connect with us as we gather in this virtual hall of faith, this virtual hall of learning, to grapple with issues that are devastating our humanity as African people. We know that the spirits of Muzima Mukuro, our great ancestors, are real and they are with us. We evoke their spirits in this moment as we send energies and meditations of empowerment and healing to the people of Darfur. We send of the Sudan, including Darfur. We send energies and meditations of courage and resilience to the people of Sudan at this time. May they not lose heart. May they not lose hope. May they not lose courage. and the will and the determination to be free. Liberation is indeed at hand. Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai mwari. Ashe, ashe, ashe. You know, my dear beloved sister, I'm almost lost for words. You know, not long before I came on the show, I received the communication from you with the footage of the carnage that is being heaped on our people. What I saw was a mass grave being dug, African bodies lying in a mass grave. I assume some still breathing the breath of life, and Africans with deadly killing machines they call guns, just indiscriminately pumping bullets into people who look like them, chanting Allahu Akbar. God is great. God is great. As they pump bullets into the bodies of living Africans, destroying lives, destroying families. And they do it with apparent impunity and complete indifference. In fact, indifference is probably not the right word. Jollity. There is a religious excitement about what they're doing. And it's shocking, and it's disturbing. It's real. And this is happening every day in the Sudan. I was listening to a report where it was said that in Khartoum presently, living in Khartoum is like playing Russian roulette. And I don't know if everybody listening knows what Russian roulette is. It's like taking a gun to your head and putting one bullet into a gun that may have six bullets in the barrel. And you are pressing the trigger in the hope that you don't press the trigger on the bullet that would end your life. It's a gamble. It's being suggested that living in Khartoum presently, you're gambling with your life. A population of 6 million prior to the war or conflict that is taking place in Sudan presently. Since April of last year, half of the population has been displaced. 6.5 million is the population. More than half of that 6.5 million are no longer in Khartoum. Think of, well, that's 1 million more. That's over 1 million more than the entire population of Gaza. And this is just Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. We haven't talked about Darfur and other parts of Sudan that are affected. We're just talking about the capital. And 6 of the 6 million population, over half, 6.5 million, over half that population has been displaced. So they're either somewhere in the country, or they have crossed the border into another country, one of the neighboring countries. It could be Egypt, it could be Libya, it could be Chad, it could be South Sudan, it could be the Central African Republic. In fact, of the entire country, some 8 million people have been displaced. 8 million, at least 2 million have left the country and are now existing as refugees in a neighboring African country. And all of those neighboring countries are economically and politically very fragile. And you have millions of people entering the country with little or no resources to receive and to take care of them. We have unfolding in the Sudan what has been rated by the United Nations, even though we've heard little or nothing, very little comparatively. We hear about Ukraine every single day. We hear about Ukraine. Every single day we hear about Gaza. Not to say we shouldn't hear about Gaza and Ukraine. However, we hear little or nothing about what is happening in the Sudan, when 8 million of, listen to me carefully, that's 4 times the entire population of Gaza. 8 million people at least have been, in fact, 8 or 9 million people. Hold on, let me get that right. It's over 10 million people. 10.7 million people have been displaced. Of that 10.7 million, there's some 8 to 9 million who are still in the Sudan. Nearly 2 million have left the Sudan. Let me just make that clear. So we're talking about, just from the point of view of displaced people, we're talking about a humanitarian crisis that is at least 5 times the size of Gaza. We hear all kinds of estimates of the death toll. The lowest estimate you will get is 15 to 20,000. But we are hearing death tolls of up to possibly more than 150,000 since April of last year. It has been rated as the worst humanitarian crisis in the world presently. These are African people, flesh of our flesh, bones of our bones, blood of our blood, who are suffering at the hands of African people. But with outside forces maneuvering and manipulating the situation, prolonging the situation, outside forces that are exploiting the situation, securing their oil interests and their access to gold mines. And other natural resources, because the Sudan, like many African countries, is a rich expanse of land, rich in natural resources. See, and You're talking about Africans who call themselves Arabs. We hear of the Sudan today, and we hear 70%. Well, the Sudan is 730,000 square miles. Population of some 50 million. And reportedly, about 70% of the population are Arabs. But when you look at these so-called Arabs, the overwhelming majority of them are Africans. They are Arabized Africans. Some of them may well have some Arab ancestry. But when you look at many of them who call themselves African, some of them are blacker than me and you, with strong woolen textured hair like you and I. But they have been conditioned into believing that they are something different and better and purer. And I want to, brothers and sisters, I want us to think deeply and seriously. Sister Shanice asked me to address this subject, and I want to just say, read the text that she sent and how it was worded. The politics of religion from the perspective of John Henry Clarke in the context of the genocide that is being committed by the Muslim African Sudanese Arabs against the indigenous African people of the Sudan. Every African who is an African, whether they call themselves Arab or not, is an indigenous African. But the mindset is not indigenous. The mindset is not indigenous because of the conditioning. And I want to, brothers and sisters, take us to where this mentality, where it is evident that this mentality comes from. Bear with me a moment. Sister Shanice, if you could just say something in the meantime. I just want to find something.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. I've been looking at the comments in the chat, and everyone is saddened, really saddened to hear about what's happening, in Sudan. And, I had a look to see who the key players were in terms of, who are the ones, which countries are actually benefiting from this war? Who are the ones who are providing the weapons? Because, in addition to those who are benefiting because they're continuing to extract the oil and the riches of the country, you've got those who are supplying the weapons to both parties in the Sudan war. So which are the countries that are supplying the weapons? You've got Iran, who are supplying drones. You've got the Yemen who have been supplying arms and ammunition. Serbia, who've been supplying arms and ammunition. The United Arab Emirates, they have been supplying armored personnel carriers. China has been supplying advanced drone jammers, mortars, and anti-material rifles. You've got Russia, who have been providing weapons to Sudan, including AK and SVO pattern rifles. And it's obviously written by the Americans and the British because they've kept themselves off this list, but I'm sure they're in there as well. And, it's even claimed that African countries such as Uganda, Ethiopia, and Eritrea have also been providing weapons to the region. And it's like, all of these people are benefiting financially by selling weapons to Sudan, and we've heard about the humanitarian crisis that's happening, and where is Amnesty International in all of this? Where are the human rights, activists in all of this? You know, they've done
Where is the AU?
Where is the AU in all of this as well? Where are all of the regional African bodies in all of this? You know, the abuses, the atrocities, the murder, you know, the extent of the humanitarian crisis that has been caused by this war. There should be, as you said, an international outcry. You know, this is happening on a scale 4 or 5 times the size of what's going on in Gaza. And we're hearing about Gaza every day, and we're hearing nothing about what's happening in Sudan. You know, we need to be talking about what we can do about this as well. You know, whose door should we be knocking on? Whose, you know, email should we be blazing? Whose Instagram and Twitter account should we be posting to? You know, these atrocities are criminal. People should be getting hanged in the gallows for what's going on here. Ldr Mbandaka, are you ready to come back?
Yes, Tendai Mwari. Yeah, give thanks for that, my dear sister, because we have to call out some of these dubious characters or dubious nations that are involved in fueling the crisis that is afflicting the Sudan presently, causing Africans to die like cockroaches. You know, I mean, that scene of those mass graves and those Africans just lying there helpless because they're surrounded by crazy,
it's like an entire village,
man. You know,
the trench that they were lined up in was like a mile long.
Yeah.
You know, of bodies.
Yeah.
All the villagers, they didn't even spare the babies.
No.
This is what's going on.
Yeah. And you know, it's this crazy sense of self-alienation that comes with any form of mental and spiritual colonization, where we as Africans no longer see or recognize our own nature of being. We no longer see beauty in ourselves. We no longer see divinity in ourselves. We go outside of ourselves to appreciate beauty. We go outside of ourselves to appreciate divinity because we have been so degraded and so oppressed for so long. We've been told that we are ugly and that, you know, our very physical features are the symbol of a curse that the Creator had put upon us because we had sinned. And so the blackness of our skin and the woolen texture of our hair and the broadness of our noses and the thickness of our lips and so on. And they have their, you know, their mantras that they use to reinforce these doctrines of self-hate. And then we identify with them and their image. As Baba Yusuf Ben Yochanan says, religion is the deification of a people's culture. Therefore, religion empowers the people in whose culture the religion is expressed. If you deify a culture, if you understand that culture is the collective personality of a people manifested in their natural and complete way of life, you will understand that when you deify a culture, you are deifying the people of that culture. You are raising them to the level of a deity. So when you see them, you are seeing divinity. You are not seeing divinity in yourself. It's a dangerous thing to impose religions, because every religion is rooted in a culture. The Islam is rooted in Arab culture. So when you practice Islam, you're practicing Arab culture. Christianity is rooted in European culture. So when you practice Christianity, you're practicing a European culture. And this code of Arab supremacy, where does it come from? I want to read from the Quran, and I'm reading from the commentary. You have commentaries in the Quran, and you have surahs, which are the verses. I want to read from one of the commentaries in the Quran, and it's commentary number 14 and 15. And it says, for the glory of Hellas, which is Greece, and her freedom and wisdom had departed. Rome's great system of law, organization, and universal citizenship had sunk into the mire of ecclesiastical formalism and dogmatism and exclusive arrogance. In her votaries of luxury, in India, countless castes and kingdoms canceled the unity of Buddha's teachings. The wounds of China had not yet been healed by Tang culture, and Japan was still a disciple of China. Then, in the sacred city of pagan Arabia, shone a light. This is Islam. Shone a light that spread in all directions. It was centrally placed for the bounds of the world, of men's habitation in Asia, Europe, and Africa. It made the Arabs the leading nation of culture and science, of organized enterprise, law, and arts, with a zeal for the conquest of nature and her mysteries. So this is part of the teachings of Islam. This is saying that the Arabs were chosen by God. They were chosen to be given the book, the Quran. That their land, it was from their land, Arabia, that the light that would illuminate the consciousness, the spiritual consciousness of man, so to speak, should come from Arabia, right? It made the Arabs, listen carefully, it was centrally placed for the bounds. Let me just read that commentary 15 again. Then in the sacred city of pagan Arabia, so prior to this, Arabia was pagan, but in the sacred city of pagan Arabia shone a light that spread in all directions. It was centrally placed for the bounds of the world, of men's habitation in Asia, Europe, and Africa. It made the Arabs the leading nation of culture and science, of organized enterprise, law, and arts, with a zeal for the conquest of nature and her mysteries. I want to share also with brothers and sisters a quote from this book, Introduction to African Civilization by John G. Jackson, page, I think it's 166. Page 168. Tenamwari. And it says here, Muhammad, as Prophet Muhammad, brooked no opposition, challenging all dissenters to moral combat and saying boldly, I, the last of the prophets, am sent with the sword. Let those who promulgate my faith enter into no argument or discussion, but slay all who refuse obedience to the law. Whoever fights for the true faith, whether he fall or conquer, will assuredly receive a glorious reward. Now, if indeed that is the teaching, if indeed that is the teaching of Islam and Prophet Muhammad, that you are the chosen people, you are the superior people of the earth, and not only that, you have the right to brook no opposition to the law, go out and slay all those who refuse obedience to the law, then that would explain why Arabized Africans behave in the way they behave, because they are looking for a place in paradise. They would slaughter their own people. But the interesting thing is, beloved brothers and sisters, that many of the Africans that they are slaughtering in Darfur are actually Muslims, are actually Islamized, but not Arabized. So they are Africans who are still grounded in their indigenous traditions, but they also practice Islam. They do not describe themselves as Arabs. They do not identify themselves as Arabs, and they still live in communities, indigenous communities, where they still have indigenous observances. And because of that, because of their identification as Africans, because of their organizing socially and culturally as Africans, they are deemed to be less human and not worthy of living. Many of these communities have been attacked. We've heard of the Darfur massacre. Between 2003 and 2005 alone, some 200,000 Africans were massacred in Darfur. Over 300,000 up until 2020. And some sources say it's much more than that. I mean, how do you even quantify? Where do you start and end the counting? You can only estimate. But we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of African people. You had between 1955 and 1972, you had the first, what they call the first civil war, or what the South Sudanese called the Anyanya 1. That was their resistance against the imposition of Arabism and the imposition of Islam that the government, the new independent government of Sudan in 1956, as that was emerging, as the political the wave of political independence was unfolding, and an Arabized, Islamized government was coming into place, the resistance started. And when the independent government was established in 1956, there was an instant resistance from South Sudan, because that government entrenched itself as an Arab Islamic government to enforce Arab Islamic laws and Arab Islamic traditions. And hence there was a resistance. Between 1955 and 1972, over a million Africans were slaughtered in Anyanya 1. It ended with an agreement in 1972, an agreement that South Sudan should be autonomous. By 1983, a new government headed by an Arab named Nimeri came, who was in power, decided to overturn the autonomy of South Sudan, of Southern Sudan, and impose Sharia law, impose Islamism on the South again, which evoked Ananya II, or the Second Civil War, resisting against this imposition. Between 1983 and 2005, over that 22-year period, over 2 million Africans slaughtered. Now let's think about that, beloved brothers and sisters. Over 2 million Africans slaughtered. And then we know about the massacre which came later on in Darfur. Again, Africans resisting Arab imposition. Many of them were practicing Muslims, but refused to disown their culture, their traditions. So they would practice Islam, but they practiced their indigenous traditions as well. So they were considered to be lesser human beings, not worthy of being treated with respect and be treated with, not worthy of the right to live, the right to life. This is the reality, beloved brothers and sisters, of the Sudan that we talk about today. This is the reality of the African continent, because what we see in Sudan about the oppression of Africans by Arabized Africans or by Arabs, we see that all over North Africa. We see that in Libya. We see it in Algeria. We see it in Morocco. We see it in Mauritania. I remember when we were in Barbados for the international conference against racism. Cannot remember the full title of it. We were in Barbados, and a brother from Mauritania, a delegate from Mauritania, came and spoke about the oppression that Africans were experiencing in Mauritania. And our brother, when he spoke, it was heart-wrenching when he spoke about the atrocities that Africans were suffering. He spoke to the point where he stopped and he couldn't speak anymore. And he just wept and wept and wept. I think half the conference was in tears. We had to stop the conference. We had to stop the conference as the brother poured his heart out to the point where he could not speak anymore. And then the tears just started coming. The tears just flowed and flowed. And I will never forget that experience. Africans today in parts of North Africa are in chattel slavery. There are parts of Africa today where African families cannot allow their children to go far from their home, or they will not come back. That is the reality. Because Arabized enslavement, the Arab Ma'afa, is still going on today, quietly as it's kept. It is still going on today. And this is what we have to, when we talk about African liberation and why we need to organize as a people, our impact is not going to be what it could and should be unless we are united. Just imagine if we had a national representative body that was mandated by thousands of African people. Say it was even 10,000 of us had mandated this body. And this body had some resources, some resources that we can use to connect with people across the, on the African continent. We can connect with people in the Caribbean. We can connect with our people in the United States of America. We could get things moving. If we have a national representative body that's mandated and financed by a critical mass of our people, then we speak with a louder voice. We can speak truth to power and force power to respond to the truth that we speak. We can speak to the government of the United Kingdom in a way that they have to sit up and listen and have to respond constructively, because we have power behind us, and they will know we have power behind us. And they will know that we can hurt them, politically at least, economically at least. They will know that we are an organized body of people. They're not speaking to one individual with a passion, but they're speaking to an organized people, a people who are nationally organized and are sufficiently resourced to make life difficult for the British government, make life very uncomfortable, nationally and internationally, on the political level, and even on the economic level. That we can organize our people to behave in a particular way that can impact on the economy of Britain in a significant way. We have to, brothers and sisters, take a different approach to this thing that we call liberation. Has to be more than fine speeches. It has to be more than perfecting ideology. It has to be about what work we do to build institutions, build industries that will empower us as a people. So I want to just, in rounding up, my dear sister and brothers and sisters, I want to read from Baba John Henrik Clarke, a speech which he made. And there are some key points that he makes in his speech, which I think is relevant to, and because in your request that you sent, my dear sister, that you mentioned Baba John Henrik Clarke. And I think it would be just good for us to just hear his words as he ministers to us. He says, "We as a people now stand at the crossroads of history, debating our direction. We have been at this road many times, but this is the most critical time. We've had in the past some golden opportunities, and we're a people who suffer from a sort of political naivety. And we're a people who've been under siege for over 3,000 years. No other people in history have had to take the pressure that we have had to take, mainly because we have always had and still have something the world wants, can't do without, and don't want to pay for. We have not dealt with our friends or enemies internally or externally. And to deal with this, we have to deal with three basic meetings in history. The people of the sand, Western Asia, met the people of the sun, Africa. Then the people of the sun met the people of the ice, Europe. Those temperaments did not go well then, they do not go well now. Listen carefully, brothers and sisters. Once you deal with your humanity and exclusive original cultural base, which is the original base for all people, and stop copping out into the fakeries of somebody else's humanity, you can give life back to the world. Let me just read that again. Once you deal with your humanity and exclusive original cultural base, which is the original base for all people, and stop copping out into the fakery of somebody else's humanity, you can give life back to the world. What he's saying is, once you stop following other people's culture, imitating other people through practicing their culture, and practice your own, which is what all other people are doing, practicing their own culture, only then can you give life back to the world. The world is dying. The world is dying by the death traps that have been set by these brutal, murderous characters who dominate the world or dominate parts of the world. And we have succumbed. We have forgotten that we have a culture of our own, and that our real power lies in our collective practicing of our culture. Once you understand the nature of our institutions, that has in it everything that went ultimately into the making of every social order the Europeans think they invented. Once you look at ourselves as the basis of Western culture, and once we look at our humanity and how we have misused our humanity, then we can restore it to ourselves and subsequently restore it to the world. And what I'm talking about here is really simple. I am talking about the restoration of institutions. People rise and fall within the framework of institutions. They never rise any other way. They never fall for any other reason. Institutions is the container of the spirit and soul of a people. Once you lose your container, you are all at the mercy of other people. So what Baba John Henry Clarke is saying here is, not only must we have our own culture, we must institutionalize every aspect of our culture. So our education must be grounded in our culture. We must have the institutions to ground African education in the context of African culture, African healthcare in the context of African culture, African spirituality in the context of African culture, African science and technology in the context of African culture. But it must be institutionalized. We must have the institutions to protect and preserve and promote our cultural interests. And bear with me, I won't be much longer, brothers and sisters. We have some confusion about Europe and European people, European culture, and European ideology. The Europeans have their minds made up about something you're not too clear about. They're very clear about it. Whosoever rule this world, it is going to be one of us. They're clear about that. Be it one of us who is a communist, one of us who is a capitalist, one of us who is a fascist, but it's going to be one of us. You're not clear about this. You think that some of them are going to save you. They have no commitment to save you. Liberating movements never came out of Europe. Liberating people never came out of Europe. Now, let's deal with the meeting of the people of the sand. That's the Arabs. Because there's some confusion about this meeting which took place over 2,000 years ago, before the first European wore shoes. Now let's deal with the assumption that people have convinced you of. Why is it that the European is so generous? Why is he so kind? Why is it that he would leave barbarous Europe before he made a house that had a window, built Egypt, goes back into Europe, lived 3,000 years in barbarism before he makes a shoe? Where is this logic? When he came out of destroying other people's institutions, the people of the sun wasn't that much different. The invader destroys your institutions, then the invader laughs at your God. And then the supreme achievement, the invader makes you laugh at your God. And when you laugh at your God, they need no prison walls to contain you. This is a serious point. This is a serious point. The invader invades, destroys your institutions, laughs at your gods, and then the ultimate achievement, the invader makes you laugh at your gods. Why do you think that these Africans, these people of African skin and African bones and African blood, can go in a trench and see their helpless brothers and sisters laying down in the trench, breathing African breath into African bodies, oxygenating African blood, and pump bullets in their bodies to render their bodies incapable of breathing the breath of life? Because they've laughed at our gods. They've lost their soul. They've lost their soul. Religion is a deification of a people's culture. They've deified the Arabs. That's why they can murder their own brothers and sisters and chant Allahu Akbar. That's what we saw. Almost there, brothers and sisters. Now, once you look at the jealousy of Western Asia over the glory and folly of the Nile Valley civilization, and when they came in the first time, they came in desecrating the institutions, laughing at the gods. Then they convinced some of us to laugh at our gods. Now, I have often said that there is need for a cultural revolution in the African world. There's need for a cultural revolution in the African world. And to say that a cultural revolution will start when an African head of state unashamedly, unapologetically pray to an African god in public. In other words, pour libation in public. You go to other races of people, they pray to a god in their own image and likeness, unashamedly. They use their own language, they use their own cultural modalities in the process of divinity, of worshiping. We as Africans allow them to cause us to demonize our own and deify theirs. This is what Baba John Henry Clarke is saying to us. We need a cultural revolution. And the cultural revolution has to start with me. It has to start with you. It has to start with every single one of us. And we have to bring it together. We have to institutionalize African spirituality. We can't just talk about it. We have to institutionalize it so that it brings us together. It molds us together. It synchronizes our thoughts and our behavior, because every other people who practice a religion, that's what it does. It synchronizes. When Muslims pray 5 times a day, they're synchronized. Ain't that right? When they have the prayer on a Friday afternoon, they're synchronized. When Christians go to church on a Sunday morning, they're synchronized. Am I right or wrong, brothers and sisters? When they have Christmas, they are synchronized. They have us all involved in a for them things. They're synchronized. How and when are we synchronized? And there's power in that. And our spirituality offers the capacity for us to synchronize on the deepest possible level, the spiritual level. But we have to institutionalize it. When do we come together to worship together? There must be a time when we come together. We put everything else aside and we say the primary issue, the primary focus here is that we come before the African shrine to collectively reverence the spirits of our ancestors and the divine supreme creator of the universe through the spirits of our ancestors. And we have to do it over and over and over and over and over and over again, beloved brothers and sisters. And every time we do it, we get stronger. Every time we do it, we're bound closer to each other. Every time we do it, we're connected more deeply with our ancestors and our ancestral teachings. This is what we have to do. This is where we have to go with this. They're murdering us, brothers and sisters, or they're having us murdering ourselves. That's very disturbing. What Sister Shanice, what you sent to me was very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. The last paragraph. One of the things that has plagued us for 3,000 years or more is that our heart and our soul and our spirituality has been in somebody else's container that is alien to the definition and the meaning of our humanity. I have to read that again. One of the things that has plagued us for 3,000 years or more is that our heart and our soul and our spirituality has been in somebody else's container that is alien to the definition and meaning of our humanity. You know, when them God-forsaken Arabs came into Africa, when they came into the Sudan, when they came into Egypt, they called they called the place Bilad al-Sudan. Bilad al-Sudan, the land of black people. And then they launched their attack, their brutal, murderous, genocidal, rapist attack upon us. Now, we are calling ourselves Arab, and we are alienating ourselves from being African. But what they saw when they came into that region, they didn't see Arabs. They saw what they called in their language Bilad al-Sudan, land of the black people. Sudan actually means black people. So it's the land of the black people. But they imposed their culture, their religion upon us. They've conditioned us and colonized us in the context of their culture and their religion to the point that we hate ourselves so much that we would slaughter another African. We would slaughter hundreds of Africans. We would take a machine gun and go, feel no way. the depth of self-hate that you must feel to do that. Let me complete the paragraph, brothers and sisters. And when people bring new religions to you, it is a container that will not fit your soul. When people bring new religions to you, it is a container that will not fit your soul. That's why Africa is in the state that it is in now, brothers and sisters, because our souls are in religious and cultural containers that are not of our nature. But you fail to do what the European does. When he takes a religion, an ideology from some other place, he makes it over as his own, and it suits his case. And if you study carefully the European take over a religion, call it Christianity, and how he desecrated it until it had the barbarous traits of those who took it on, who took it over. I've called that the evil genius of Europe. The evil genius of Europe. And we are falling for the evil genius of Europe and the evil genius of Arabia. And it is wreaking havoc throughout the African continent, beloved brothers and sisters. I'm not cursing people's religion. That's not what I'm doing. But I am condemning the imposition of alien religions and alien cultures upon African people, to the point that African people are alienated from themselves, so much so that they would slaughter their own people en masse and feel no way. We must return to the way. Reclaim our history. Reclaim our culture. Reclaim our land. Reclaim our creator. Reclaim our soul. Reclaim our ancestors. Reclaim our rituals. Reclaim our ceremonies. Reclaim our language. Reclaim our names. Reclaim our prophets. Reclaim our prophecies. Reclaim our philosophies. Reclaim our vision. Reclaim our purpose. Reclaim our destiny. Reclaim our Africanness. Beloved brothers and sisters, reclaim our rightful place in this world, the first people of the first land, the givers of culture, the givers of civilization to the world. The very word religion, lick the word religion, look at the word, relegare. It comes from two components. Re is the African name for the creator. One of the many names in Kemet, Re or Ra, is the creator. Re, Ra. Legare means to hold on, to bind to. So even when you say religion, implicit in the word is a name of an African god. They don't use religion in a constructive way, but I'm just telling you what the word means. And when the Christian prays at the end of his prayer, he says, Amen. Amen. What is he saying? Amen Ra. The Muslim says, Amin. What does he mean? He means Amen Ra. It is the same Amen that is rendered Amin in the Arabic language. When the Christian prays on a Sunday, why Sunday? Because sun is from the Greek sol, which comes from the Sarah, the ancient Kemetian, sun meaning the light of the world. The Amen Ra, Amen is the unseen. The unseen essence of the divine is Amen. It is darkness. And out of darkness cometh light, which is Ra. The Christian Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the word, where it says that in the beginning it was dark. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. That's Amin Ra. Darkness and the light that comes out of the darkness. That's Amin Ra, beloved brothers and sisters. It is African wisdom. This is what Baba John Henry Clarke is saying. They take our teachings, they take our wisdom, they plagiarize it. They drain it of its substance, its divine substance. And they sell it back to us, they impose it upon us, beloved brothers and sisters. And we forget what we originated. And we start to follow them. We have something more beautiful and more powerful and more pure and more genuine, more awesome, beloved brothers and sisters, and we must reclaim it. Reclaim it all. We don't need their religion. We have our spiritual systems. We have our spiritual traditions. We have our knowledge systems. And it's far superior, far better, because we are the first people. We are the people that the Creator put on this earth before anybody else. So if there's any chosen people in this world, it is African people, because we were first. And we are the people who were made to carry the sun. I close with the words of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Unite, organize now or perish. Rise, you mighty African people, for you can accomplish whatever you will. Rumbid mwari ye Africa. To the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari, thank you so much, Ldr Mbandaka. I had so many questions. There was so much going on in the chat, but we are well over our time. So I think we're going to have a part 2, because this is so important. You know, what you finished off saying there as well. They took our religions, they took our spirituality, they took our belief systems, plagiarized it, and gave it back to us with themselves as the deity. And now we worship images that look like them in their culture, to the detriment of our own. And we laugh at our own, you know? And now we see our own culture and our own belief system as inferior. And we see ourselves as inferior. And so the flip side of that is that we see them as superior. And that is, you know, a huge problem that we've got. Hence why John Henry Clarke said there, you know, that we have got to take back our culture. And I love all of what you said there. Take back our culture, take back our spirituality, take back everything. And we need to build our own institutions. And as difficult and as complex as that might seem, I just want to tell everybody that building our own institution starts with the institution of the family and the institution in the home. Build your own families on the foundation of African principles. And as for our brothers and sisters who have been Arabized, what they don't realize is that they're doing the work of the Arabs. Morocco was once African land. Tunisia once belonged to the Africans. The whole of the so-called Middle East once belonged to the Africans. And now today, as we can see, we are few in numbers. We are the minority after the ethnic cleansing, and they've taken over our land. And now they want to take over Sudan. And Sudan is so important to them. It's so important. They've got Egypt, and now they want Sudan, because Sudan is even richer than Egypt. Sudan, you know, has got more pyramids than Egypt. Sudan, formerly known as Kush, was the heartbeat, you know, of Africa for millenniums. And they want Sudan. And then after they get Sudan, they're going to want the east of Africa as well. So if we don't wake up and realize that these people, it's not about religion, it's for them the politics of religion. They've given us religion, and we run away with the religion that they've given us, but they're playing the politics of religion, which is very different. politics of religion is a means by which they control us, they control our thinking, so they control our behavior, they take control of our land, they can take control of everything through religion, and they're using the politics of religion. If they loved us as the religion ought to instruct them to do, they wouldn't allow all of this to happen to us as a people, would they? They wouldn't allow the ethnic cleansing of other human beings. This isn't about religion. It's about the politics of religion, and it's about the takeover of our land. And they've been taking over our land for thousands of years, and they're continuing to do so right underneath our noses. Family, I know you've been having a lot of conversation in the chat. I know that you are well informed because, you know, many of you have been with us from day one, from I started, and many of you have heard from Ldr Mbandaka on many occasions. So we know that you are the awoken few, and we know that those who are new are being conscientized by those of you in the chat. So apologies that we haven't brought in more of your conversations into this discussions today, but like me, you know, we just had to listen to the wisdom that was coming from Ldr Mbandaka. Ldr Mbandaka, we thank you so, so much for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your insights, you know, and for coming before us as a people to minister to us. We thank you so much. We're well over time, but it's worth it. Thank you so much, Ldr Mbandaka, and we look forward to hearing from you again. More strength, more power to you and your beloved family. To everyone in the house, thank you so much. Please share. Take no notice of the figures. Hundreds of you are watching right now. When I log off and I go to the analytics, I'm going to see that hundreds of you have actually been watching, but they are artificially manipulating the numbers, and they are keeping many of you out from the chat. They are the ones who are deleting your messages. I'm not deleting any messages. So, you know, this chat is being controlled and shadow banned. We know that. But if you share, and each of you was to just share to 2 people, you know, we will be doing the works of awakening our people. And we are the ones who must do that work. Thank you so much for joining us every Ujamma Day. As always, privilege and honor, Ldr Mbandaka. Stay strong and powerful. Sister Shanice, out of here for now. Tendai Mwari.